Welcome back to I Now Pronounce Your Divorce. Today, we're very lucky to have a special guest, somebody that does something that I'm very interested in, and that's Sabrina. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself, what you do, and how you help our community?
So I'm the outreach coordinator at the Up Center. Really fancy way of just saying I'm the one that's really out and about, kind of boots on the ground, bringing awareness to some of our programs that I do outreach for. I've been doing community outreach for over 20 years now in the Hampton Roads area. Dabbled in, local government, private sector, now onto the nonprofit sector, and absolutely love what I do. But yeah, just kind of bringing awareness and just kind of being a touch point from the community to our agency for those that we serve.
And for our listeners and that don't know exactly what the Up Center does, what do y'all do?
So we're actually, fun fact, we're the region's oldest and largest child and family services organization. We've been around over 140 years. So we're not new to the community, not new to serving. Serving is exactly what we do. Individuals, children, families. And we do that through, we have about 20 plus programs. Obviously our foster care program. We do some home visiting programs, housing and financial counseling, some mental health services as well, and some other programs woven in between there.
And what really drew you to this outreach program?
So I've been doing, like I said, I've been doing outreach in the Hampton Roads community for over 20 years, even before I even knew what outreach was. But really, I find myself to be sort of a connector between the community, individuals, children, families, and really connecting them to either services or programs that they need, or either helping the community to fill a gap where there is. With foster care, children always, that speaks to my heart. So to be able to work with the community, work with children and families to be able to find suitable homes for them, it just spoke to me.
I know from my perspective, doing divorces, I've been on one side of foster care, but what does your normal week look like?
Is there a normal week? So all my days and the weeks look completely different. So I could be, doing things like this. I'm kind of the face of the program. So I may do some media opportunities or working with local media, doing presentations on the phone, answering people's questions about, what it means to be a foster parent, how to start that process, finding community partners, working with local businesses, taking flyers, so all that type of stuff. So I don't spend a ton of time in front of my desk or in front of my computer. So I'm mostly out and about, but it really changes day by day, week by week.
You're lucky not to spend much time in front of your computer.
I know. Not my favorite thing, but I do it when I have to.
Yeah, I was thinking about, in preparation for this, probably the weirdest case I had where foster care was brought up and the kids were actually put into foster care, and it was two extremely high net worth parents. I remember the representative coming into the court and really questioned the judge because, high net worth, we're talking about close to 8 figures.
Wow.
How does the court interaction with you really overshadow the ability to handle that? So I bring up that case as these children might have had different options, but the judge ordered foster care. Right. And then we got a representative that was sitting there why?
Right. I think sometimes, and for better or for worse, our agency or our team doesn't do a ton of interacting with the court system. We're kind of a go-between, almost a filter between social services and the foster children and the foster families. So we don't have a ton of interaction. I do think sometimes that may be seen as sort of, we don't know what else to do. So here's an option. Which for us is not always. It's there are other options that, other services or programs or things like that to maybe connect them depending on what's going on. But we don't have a ton of interaction. That's really the Department of Social Services that really does that. But yeah, that's what we find sometimes. There isn't sort of a range of things to say, okay, this versus foster care, it's either foster care or nothing. That's
what I learned. There seemed to be an extreme misunderstanding of all the other options that might be available to these two little children versus foster care.
Yes. And there are options. There's things like, kinship care. Are there family members? Are there guardians that could, take care of them in the interim? Things like that. Yeah.
And this was pre-pandemic. So
Lots has changed.
Yeah. How has the pandemic changed the landscape of what you're doing?
Oh, it's changed a ton. So I think what we're seeing, the issues that were there are still there, but the pandemic shined a light on them. So, family stressors, substance abuse, those things were already in our community, but it just kind of shined a light on them. And so because of that, we started to see an influx of children come into care. Also some of the services are no longer. So those families that were in need of those services don't have access to those services. So we started to see those children come into care more. Teachers are mandate reporters, and they're the ones a lot of times will see things in the classroom. Well, when things went virtual, you didn't see a lot of things. So we started to see numbers go down in foster care. And once they got back into the classroom, they spiked right back up. So the pandemic has kind of shifted things. It's also shifted tremendously people that are interested in becoming foster parents. We've seen a dramatic decrease on those numbers.
Why? That's a hard question, right?
It is. And I've been trying to figure that out for 5 years now. I think it's a lot of things. I think during the pandemic, you had a lot of people to lose their jobs. They went from 2-income households to 1-income household. I think just people's priorities changed. I know for my family, my priorities changed. And so for those families, the thought of taking care of someone else can be overwhelming. And so I just think it's a lot of that. That's partly why, we kind of shift our messaging a little bit, and we share with folks that there is some financial assistance when you are a foster parent, so that you don't have to worry about the financial part of taking care of that child. Let us take care of that for you. But I think people still have a desire to do it. At least I hope so. But I think they, just are overwhelmed with everything else that, life is life, and then it comes at you hard.
So you talked about the financial assistance. What are the other myths that you run into where people are like, I'm not sure this is for me?
So I get a lot of, I have to make a lot of money. I have to be married. I've never parented before, so clearly I can't be a foster parent. Those are probably the top 3 that I get. And so you don't have to make a lot of money. We do have things in place through our, application process and our vetting process to make sure that you have enough income to sustain your household as it is now. But like I said, you do get some financial assistance to take care of any children you're fostering. You don't have to be married. We work with families that are, married, single, divorced, empty nesters. We have quite a few families that have never parented before. Foster parent was their first experience in parenting. And the beauty of our team with our foster care program, I want to say the last count I did, I think all of us have, in total, over 50 years of experience in child welfare. And so because of that, and because of our, how we interact with families, we know that families are not cookie cutter. We're going to support them generally in the same way, but we're also going to meet them where they are. So someone who's never parented before is going to need a little bit different support than someone that has teenagers. And so we're able to kind of meet them where they are and really provide that support to them.
You talk about support, and I think that's awesome. What other sorts of training do you provide? Because I know, when I had my first child, nobody came and helped me.
Right.
They were like, hey, it was just like, oh, there it is.
Right. Have fun. Yeah. So we do, it's about 30 hours of training. Wow. Yeah, it sounds like a lot, but we kind of make it interactive, kind of make it as crazy as it sounds. We do make it a little fun, but it's about 30 hours of training. We do in person and we do virtual. And some of that training talks about, childhood development, trauma, how trauma impacts the brain, all of that good stuff. We also, in terms of supports, we're able to customize some supports as well. Like I said, meeting families where they are. We do some peer supports. We are there as a professional support, but it is nothing like sort of having folks that are in it with you. So we connect our families with one another. We provide a support group for our families that they can connect with one another. We provide some additional trainings. So we do, what we like to call wraparound. So it's not just making sure that child is good, it's making sure that that family structure, when they're in that foster home, is good. Because if that family is not successful, that placement is going to break down, and then we're going to just be running this cycle, and that's not what we're about.
We're talking about the support.
Mm-hmm.
When somebody calls in, they say, I really want to do this.
Mm-hmm.
What can they expect the next step to be?
So I would just talk to them. The first thing, and I know this sounds super basic, but just really asking them where they live. I get tons of phone calls from out of the area for whatever reason, because we have to make sure they live in the Hampton Roads area. Our program, our foster care program, crosses over to the peninsula. So we do work with Hampton and Newport News. But just kind of, finding out why they want to foster. I'll invite them to an information session where I go over in detail the requirements, how we support our families, and kind of walk them through the process. Answer any questions that they have. After that, if they're interested in moving forward, they would submit their application, connecting them to one of our liaisons, and then we start their training and kind of home study process. Our goal, because we know time is of the essence too, and some people, when they start a process, they want to knock it out. So our team's goal is really from application to fully licensed and certified is 90 days. That's our goal. It's quite a bit of paperwork, as you can imagine, but we try to do it as efficient and effective as possible.
So once, somebody is in the system, I think there's a lot of words that come up that sound weird, right?
Yeah.
So you have reunification, permanency, adoption pathways. What does all that mean?
So reunification is really, so foster care is meant to be a temporary solution. That's probably another myth that's out there. People think foster care is this permanent place that children will be. But reunification is exactly what it means. Children will come into foster care. It gives their biological family time and space to do the work that they need to do to get their children back. There's also guardianship. So in that time, there will be family members or even close people in their lives. We've seen teachers, we've seen neighbors that are in close proximity that already have a relationship with these children and are doing the same thing, really giving space and time for their family to just do what they need to do. There's also foster to adopt. I get that question all of the time. They'll come at me, I want to foster to adopt. And I'm like, all right, time out a little bit. Let me explain. Just because foster care is meant to be temporary. So children don't come into foster care already ready to be adopted. That can be your family's goal, that you're open to fostering. And if there's an opportunity that arises that child is ready for adoption, then you will be open to that. We tell our families, until the ink is fully dry, on adoptions, there's lots that can come into play. We've seen it happen time and time again, and there are no guarantees. And then there's also the termination of parental rights, also known as TPR. And that's when, the courts will move forward with really releasing all of the parental rights from the biological family. And usually when that happens, that means that, it is not an option for them to go back to their family for a variety of reasons. Guardianship may not be an option, and that child will be up for adoption. But again, once that happens, that sort of starts a whole nother timeline. But the good thing about our program and our team, no matter what happens with any of those scenarios, we walk side by side with our family. So they're never alone. They don't even go to court by themselves. If their caseworker from our team is, out sick or on vacation, one of our team members goes to court with them because court can be a little intimidating. And the foster parents really are there to support the child. And so it can be a lot of terms being used, a lot of things that are happening. You leave out of there and you're like, what just happened? What does this mean? And we're there to really just walk alongside of them so that they don't feel alone.
Most of what we deal with is reunification, right? Something happens, child goes into foster care. We're trying to get the child back to a parent or guardian. Sometimes it's a guardian that leads to foster care. Right. What does a successful reunification plan look like?
So again, that's one of those things that we're kind of a bystander in that process. The Department of Social Services is the one that kind of puts that plan into action. What is a part of that plan? What are those steps? What that looks like? And again, we're there. Our role when the reunification plan happens is kind of two parts. Is really to support the foster family, but also advocating for the child. And so it can look like, extension of their visitation. It could be moving the visitation out of the social service agency office into the community. So, going to a park or something like that. Like I said, we're a bystander of that. So we kind of see from the outside looking in, but to advocate, hey, this is, yes, we know this was a part of the plan, but we see something going awry a little bit. Hey, what about this? But again, we don't have, and nor do our foster parents really have the final say, which can be hard. But we support them in that. And kind of this is what we can kind of project this may happen. We know this was the plan. This is what they said, but we kind of see it going this way, and this is what that could look like.
And all the while, the kids are sitting there.
Yes.
And that can't be easy on them.
Mm-mm.
So, as we look from the perspective of the child, it has to be a lot of trauma in that. How do you work with the foster parents on this trauma-informed care? Even something as simple as, reunification. Because,
Yes.
you have to look at it from the child's perspective. They were in one place, now they're in another place. Now somebody's trying to pull them back to another place. How do you help the foster parents deal with all that?
And it's tough because nowadays what we're seeing, and this is probably happening in the last year, we're starting to see trends where children are coming into foster care and, they're with us for about 5 days. So at that 5-day hearing, they're going back home, or they found a relative or something like that. So it's hard. But even for the kiddos that are there for, a longer period of time, what we start to see is they start to get settled, because even that takes a lot of time. They start to get settled. They start to feel stable. They start to feel safe. And then it's like, boom, it's time for you to go home. And so we support our families, by training. As I mentioned, our support group, we'll have presentations or a trainer, or it might just be conversations amongst our team and other foster parents to talk about how they have handled reunification, their experiences. If you're not familiar, our agency works with all of the departments of social services in the area. And no two are alike. So, some of our families may have one experience with one agency versus another, but we'll kind of pair them up for mentorship so that, they can understand what that can look like, what that can feel like, and in turn, really supporting that child and really explaining to them in an age-appropriate way, hey, this is what this is going to be. I think one of the hardest parts is when they do reunify for the foster family. It's a loss, no matter how long those kiddos have been there. They've built a relationship. Sometimes they've, built trust, because for those kids, sometimes that can be very difficult. But what we see a lot of times is ultimately these kiddos, they want to go home. They want to be with mom and dad. And so for us to support our foster families, to say, hey, this is what it was meant to be. If this is happening, that means it's working.
And, once the kids are going through all this, are there local therapeutic groups kind of help them out that they can turn to not have to talk to mom and dad about what mom and dad did?
So all of the kids in our program, they are in some sort of therapy, age-appropriate therapy. So it could be play therapy, talk therapy. It just depends on what's happening. So all of the kids in our program are in therapy so that they have that neutral person that they can talk to. And I think most of the agencies in our area do that as well. But just really intentional on making sure that they're connected with some sort of therapist or therapy group that can work with their trauma. Yeah.
But that's not easy.
It's not easy. There are tons of wait lists. There are not enough providers. And, but that's where we come in to really advocate. Our agency, through the Up Center, we have mental health services. There's still a wait list, though. So we have some direct connections. But our staff knows a lot of therapists in the community. If I'm out and about and I come across a resource, that's something that I can connect our families to as well.
Yeah, I know. In one place I practiced, it was one parent would completely deny visitation, go to the court, claim the other parent needed reunification, even though they were the ones doing it.
Right.
And unfortunately, the judges were buying into it. And so then they were forcing reunification therapy, which was eating up all these resources for kids who had actually been through something that was
right.
And the judges weren't saying like, well, you did it. Maybe you should be the person.
It's tough. I wish we could get just everybody in a room, do some trauma-informed training. Because it's tough because I think, everybody is seeing it from a different lens. instead of kind of seeing it from the lens of the child and those that are directly impacted.
Yeah, the one I think of, I mean, the kid was sitting there crying to see the dad,
Mm-hmm.
wanting to see the dad, and the
Right.
judge still ordered reunification therapy.
Wow. Oh my
I
gosh.
was like, just let her walk there.
Right,
We're
right.
good.
It's kind of simple, but
Yeah.
it's not.
So, like you said, everybody sees it through a different lens.
Mhm.
So the reality is, not everybody can call you up and say, "Look, I'm ready to be a foster
Right.
parent." What ways can they help?
It can help us, spread the word, share information on their social media pages, or help us, share flyers through local businesses or local organizations. They can invite me out to do a presentation. I have done all different kinds of presentations, in auditoriums. I've done living rooms. Like, it doesn't matter. I will go almost, not everywhere, but almost. But just invite us or connect with us. That's the beauty of the work that I do. It doesn't have to be, well, we just want you to, distribute this flyer. We can create something. We can partner on something, whatever that looks like, to really spread the word. Because a lot of it is word of mouth.
And, some of our workers are attorneys, social workers, clergy. How can they refer family to the Up Center?
So on our website is the easiest place. They can also reach out to me directly. And so if it's, referring families that are interested in becoming foster parents, that would absolutely be me. And so, just giving me their contact information, because I know some people, once they're referred, it's that waiting period. Are they going to call? If I have their contact information, I'm calling them. And my rule of thumb is letting them go no more than 24 hours to give them a call. And like I said, we walk them through the entire process. And we're not the type of team that it's, oh, you want to be foster parents, that's great. And then, all right, this is what you need to do, and kind of let you go. We're going to walk with you. We've even had some families that are like, you reach out to us a lot. And we're like, we want to make sure you're okay. We want to make sure that, you don't have any questions, or, we're connecting with you and how you need to be connected. But yeah, just reach out to us. We have forms on our website that you can put your information in, and that'll come directly to my desk, and I'll give you a call and walk you through it.
As we come to a close, you've already talked about, reaching out on your website, calling you directly. Is there anything else you'd like to tell our listeners that want to help, that want to get involved to do?
Yeah, I would say just make the call. Just call us, go on our website. We have a couple videos that kind of showcase some of our families that share their why. So I think sometimes when you hear other people's why, and it's like, oh, okay, that's kind of me too. You may be more open and more willing to kind of, make that first step. But just take the step, even if you're just in the fact-finding phase. If you're just, I want to know a little bit more, I'm not sure if I'm 100% committed yet, call us, get your questions answered. We'll walk you through every single thing. And for those who may not be quite ready or don't have a desire to, still connect with us. You can help in that way. There's other things that you can do, donating gift cards for our families, spreading the word, our social media, flyers, all of that type of stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you.
And, I hope everybody enjoyed this episode. If you hit like or subscribe, you can learn more about awesome topics like this. Please reach out to Sabrina if you all have anything.